but I do want to touch on something that, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, and this is probably the, most contentious, question I'll ask. But I do want to ask about Boogie Nights because it was a major comeback role for you. It's a widely loved movie, and of course, it brought you a lot of acclaim and an Oscar nomination and many critics awards and everything. But I know that you're on the record is not particularly loving it too much. Is that does that feeling of it come from the subject matter that it was covering?
Yes, that was it. It was a subject matter. I had a hard time with it, and just in terms of doing it, and I did it, and I'm glad I did it, and the director did a fabulous job, and I was wrong and he was right, but I just had a really hard time with some of the dialogue, saying some of the words, and because having, like you said, starting out in the late 50s and not saying those words, and they were just verboten, and I don't know, but and I didn't know that I was going to get that kind of acclaim. I had no idea. At that time, I did look him up and told him how much I was full of shit, and he was right. And,
That's interesting. That's good. I mean, I've read somewhere where you haven't seen it all the way through or something, but I would encourage you to go back and take a look at it and take joy in the fact that you really contributed one of the great supporting performances of that era. And whatever you think about the subject matter, it's a movie that's highly critical of that world, I think. So in that way, I think you can find some kind of common ground in some kind of doorway into actually loving it, and so I would encourage you to go back and take a look at it because you're just fantastic in it. You're just perfect in it, and in that way, I wonder, do you have any kind of sense of like, well, if I didn't like the subject matter, and I've read that, it was a little contentious on the set. How do you think that you came out with such a great performance?
Well, I think part of it is you get tunnel vision, That's what I was going to do, and I was going to give these guys some kind of credibility, and it's they made movies. There was not a lot of them, but the ones that were good were really good, and good in terms of filmmaking. And that's one speech I had in the restaurant. I forget. He just let me go, and he said, because he said, "You're a filmmaker. Tell people how hard it is, how rough it is to get the money, and to make that. And I don't care how long it is." And I really thought that's a lot of faith that he gave to me there. And I'd work with him again. I don't know if he'd want to work with me again, but I'd like to work with him again.
Well, he asked you to be in Magnolia, and you said you weren't ready for it, huh?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
It was too soon.